first, we know at Ohio State what it means to not beat a team like Michigan. How does that equate to losing to Texas from your time at Kansas State? And just describe the feeling of getting another stab at Texas to beat them.
Yeah, I don't think it has anything to do with that rivalry. It's not really the same. But for me personally, that was the only team I didn't beat when I was in the Big 12. So yeah, there's definitely a personally for me a little extra motivation there because I never got the chance to beat these guys. Played them 4 years. And they're always a good team. But I don't think none of those games were unwinnable. Last year we lost in overtime and. So definitely excited to get another chance at these guys.
And what do you think is the biggest difference between your time here versus your time at Kansas State? I guess what's the biggest thing you've learned from being here?
There's a lot of things I've learned, man. I feel like I've grown in a lot of different ways and matured on and off the field. And I think, and I've said this before, I think the biggest thing that I've taken away from this experience is that I don't have to make things happen. I think something profound that Coach Kelly told me pretty early on in my career here was, don't make things happen, just let it happen. Just let the game come to you, be a game manager, take care of the football, make good decisions, and keep us on track. And, when I do that, the completion percentage goes up, efficiency goes up, a lot of things like that. And I just feel like having more of that emphasis on, taking completions, taking checkdowns, staying on schedule, not forcing things to work, but making positive yards on a play, because sometimes that's all you need to get is just get back to the line of scrimmage, and just making things work. I think that's probably the biggest way I've grown this year.
What has to happen against Ohio State? What kind of performance does the offense need to have for you all to pull off this win?
Yeah, I mean, we just got to go play our game and execute at a high level and, have first and second down wins that will ultimately lead to shorter third downs and more manageable third downs. And if we're able to do that, then the drive will continue to work down the field. And then, obviously we have to score in the red zone. Field goals, I don't think we'll get it done.
Your next question is going to come from Kurt Bowles. Kurt, go ahead.
Quinn, if you size up the Ohio State defense, and especially your old friend Jack Sawyer, what stands out? What jumps out at you? I know they've had 12 sacks in the last 2 games, so how would you assess them?
Well, I think that they're a really high effort group and they play super hard and, they're coached really well. And whenever you have coaches like that put the schemes in that they have and, they create, mismatches and they create, one-on-ones that, they do a good job of maximizing every opportunity that they get. And, I think they do a really good job of covering on the back end. And I think they're just a really good overall defense.
Well, I feel like this season, there's been a big theme of redemption and revenge for you, whether it's against Oregon or, making that statement against Penn State. Now you have a chance to do it against Texas. How does that just fire you up? And is that kind of a difference maker for you out there?
Yeah, I think, I try to find motivation in a lot of different things. And, I've always kind of looked at myself as somewhat of an underdog, and I wasn't super highly recruited. Nobody really expected me to play early at K-State, and I kind of got thrown in. And, I kind of like to take on that, underdog mentality a little bit and that chip on my shoulder. And, I think that does help myself and give myself a little edge, a little more extra motivation at times. But, it also has to come from within, and it can't be, you making up a story to get you pumped up every single week. You obviously have to strive and want to be the best. But, it's just so happened that there's been some games this year that have been a little personal to me and that have hit home. But, we got 2 more games left and this one coming up is the biggest game that, we're going to play this year because it's the next one. And because, there's 4 teams left and, we know Texas is a heck of a football team. And, I played them for 4 years and wasn't able to beat them. They're a good squad. So we're going to have to be on our stuff and you know, I'm just excited and thankful to be here, and you know, I'm ready for the challenge.
Couple more in Columbus, and then head on to the Zoom, and we'll finish up here in Columbus. Austin Moore, the podcast.
Well, as you got into the Texas film in the last couple of days, how much of it is like, oh, I've seen a lot of this before from the previous preparation? How much of it looks different to you?
Yeah, I've actually, you know, I went back and watched our game from last year. You know, I think there's some different different personnel in there, some new players, but you know, a lot of the same stuff. And you know, I feel like they, you know, defensively are, you know, they kind of do what they do, and they're pretty darn good at it. You know, they got some dudes in the back. You know, Barron's a really good player. You know, they got that freshman up front who's really good. I think number 95 is playing really good football right now. So they got a stout front, not necessarily as big as those two dudes were last year. But you know, they got some dudes, man. So you know, schematically, yeah, they're doing some of the same stuff, but you know, everybody changes year in and year out. So got to continue to grind on them and make sure that you know, we know them inside and out.
And Chip had mentioned that in some of the game planning meetings that, you know, you've had more voice in that. Is your experience with the Texas defense and looking at them 4 times, do you think that, you know, I guess how much more will you suggest some things or maybe not suggest some things this week? I don't know.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't say it's any more different or any different really than a normal week. You know, obviously I do have a little more, you know, experience with these guys and maybe you know, have some more stronger feelings on, hey, I like this or I don't like this. You know, I don't know. We really haven't, you know, came across that too much. It's felt like kind of a normal week. You know, I have felt more involved in the game planning process, and you know, they want to make sure that they're running plays that I like, and vice versa. You know, I want to make sure that I'm running them the right way, and you know, so we all got to be on the same page. So you know, I try to get in there as much as I can, and you know, it's been so good for me, for my development and my just knowledge of the game, just to be around great minds like them all the time.
What do you think will be the key to setting the tone early against Ohio State, and how important is it to get a fast start in a game of this magnitude? And can you kind of tell me about like the chemistry, how you were talking about earlier of the offense and how that'll play into the execution?
Yeah, well, you know, I think if we go out and just play our game, get completions early, and just continue to have first and second down wins, I think we'll be in a good spot to where we want to, whenever Sark wants to call those shots downfield, we'll be in a good enough spot to where he's comfortable enough to call those shots or whatever it is. And, you know, the chemistry off the field definitely helps on the field for sure. Because, you know, just the relationship and the rapport that we've all built together carries on to the field. You know, we want to play for each other. We want to play for the guy to our right and our left. It just adds that, you know, extra motivation if it's needed.
We got time for 2 more questions for Quinn. First is going to come from Eric Henry. Go ahead, Eric.
Good afternoon, Quinn. Just want to revisit that 4th and 14. We spoke with Matt after the game, and he said that you were kind of the calming presence in the huddle. I'm just curious, how important is it for you as the quarterback to be that calming presence? Not, you know, no disrespect to Jake or Kelvin or guys like that who also are great players, but how important is it for you as the quarterback to be that calming presence for everybody?
Yeah, I think that's huge for the quarterback to be that guy who's going to be calm within the storm and just the guy to kind of rely on. And you know, I picture it as when I see a receiver, an O-lineman, a running back, tight end look at me, I want them to see the calmness and hear the calmness in my voice, and you know, just see like, oh, he's calm, like, you know, we got this, we're good. You know, if he's comfortable, I'm going to be comfortable, and you know, I just want to be that guy that. Just kind of that example for other guys who, you know, might be a little nervous for the situation or for the moment, but you know, it's the guys that make the plays around me.
Your final question is going to come from Joey Kaufman. Go ahead, Joey.
When, as far as the things you learned in your semester at Ohio State, is there anything specifically or anything that's carry over from your time under Coach Day that you feel like was a good habit or something you learned about football or just life that's carried over?
Yeah, well, I mean, going back to it again, I think that they did a really good job of preparing from week to week, and that's like the first time that I really got to see it firsthand at this level, you know, how to watch film and how to prepare for the game, for the upcoming game. And, you know, because obviously it's different from the high school level, you know, and getting to see that firsthand, I think was awesome for me.